You're listening to Answers for the Family with Alan Cardoza, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Greetings to all of you listening around the world, and a warm welcome as we bring you another edition of the Answers for the Family radio show. I'm your host, Alan Cardoza, and if you're a regular listener, thank you for joining us once again. If this is your first time, please make yourself at home as we bring you Answers for the Family. Now, each week, this show will address issues such as locating runaway teen, family crisis intervention, building self-esteem, dealing with addictions, lasting health, and so much more. Now, having over 30 years' experience working with families in crisis, I've been fortunate to meet and work with some of the top professionals in many of the helping fields and skilled authors who are working to make this world a better place for all of us. Now, you can all do me a big favor. Please check out some of our past shows at AnswersForTheFamily.com to hear some informative and entertaining guests, as well as some dynamic co-hosts. And they're going to discuss ways that you and your loved ones can become happier, healthier, and more at peace. Now, I'm also looking for some show ambassadors who will forward at least one of our shows to your social media group and or someone you know who can benefit from a particular subject. I want you to know that I truly appreciate it, and this is just another way that we can make a positive difference in the lives of others. So, as many of you are now getting to know, with me as my guest co-host is Gabriella Von Ray. She's the founder of the Dare to Be Kind movement, and she's been on the road filming since November. Now, she is interviewing nonprofit associations, people from all walks of life who have taken up the Dare to Be Kind challenge. Now, that challenge is one act of kindness in a 2-mile radius. Everybody can do that. Think about it. It's not asking a lot. And this is to highlight to everyone how kindness begins right in your own neighborhood. So, my question to her is, where in the world is Gabriella?
Hi, Alan, and thank you for having me again on as a guest co-host. It's always a pleasure. Well, I didn't make it as far as I had hoped. I had hoped to be closer to Minnesota, but I'm at the border between Iowa and Wisconsin because due to snow and scraping my car last night, I said, okay, I'm going to stop here because I am not that good a driver in the snow. I got to admit that. So safety before the journey, I guess.
Well, and for those people out there, we're moving in different directions. We're kind of doing simulcasts. Right now, you can go to the LA Talk Radio Facebook page, and we're doing Facebook Live, and we're often also doing the Facebook Live on Gabriella's page. So there's a lot of ways in which you can get this information. In fact, I had talked with our guest, and I believe he is now maybe having his people on Facebook check this out also. So pass the word that there's many different ways. Sometimes Gabriella is going to be driving in her car. So we're going to be getting her behind the steering wheel, answering questions or asking questions of our many guests. So the other thing I want to encourage everybody, again, I've mentioned this before, but visit Gabriella's Indiegogo page, and you can show your support, for what it is that she's doing. And in fact, I already have, so I'm not asking anybody to do anything that I haven't done, but you can get the exact link through going by AnswersForTheFamily.com if you go to our site, or you can just go to Indiegogo.com and type in Dare to Be Kind in the search bar, and it will be the first project that comes up. So there's many ways in which we can all be kind.
And we only have 2 weeks left on Indiegogo, guys. 2 weeks. That's it.
Okay, so go out there, check it out. This is one of the ways in which all of us can make a positive difference in the lives of others. So, Gabriella, share with us just a little bit about kind of the next couple of steps before we bring on our guest.
Well, what is so amazing is ever since I started, it is the people that you meet on the road that are the stories that you hear. It is so heartwarming that there are so many like-minded people that actually are a positive influence on kindness and that would really love to ignore all the negativity that they hear around them. So that was something that I was so glad to see everywhere, literally from Flint, Michigan to where was I? Oklahoma, Phoenix, Nashville. I thought of all these places where people just say, yeah, no, we want kindness. How do we do it, Gabriella? And then I gave them simple tasks about a 2-mile radius and how we could get there. But I mentioned on purpose Flint, Michigan, because I just wanted you to know, you all know Flint because of the water. They're doing well. And what is even more heartwarming is that they say that they volunteer for each other and help each other through volunteering because they say that they know what it's like to suffer. And that really touched a heartstring for me, that volunteerism is alive and happening in the state of Michigan.
And all over the world. And that's the thing. Yeah. And the thing is that mainstream media is not picking that up. They're not going out there and going, you know what, let's do a show and show how these people are helping each other through the crisis. You know, I've been staying out in Malibu, and we've been out there helping people that have dealt with the fires. Now today, even just getting in here, I had to take different routes to stay away from a mudslide or to stay away from a rock slide. I got held up on that. But at the same time, the people that I'm seeing out there, they're banding together and they're doing things to help. You know, absolutely. You know, that's the message that we need to be sending to everybody, that, you know, people do care, people want to be kind, and it's something that we can all do for each other.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And it's there. We want it, and we're going to bring it every single week. I'm going to bring through your show to one kindness place that I've been that just is doing great things. So thank you, Alan.
You're welcome. And, you know, the other thing about being kind is being kind to yourself. And, you know, I was at a retreat and I met our guest, and I was so impressed. I just said, how can I help get the word out for the message that you're putting out there? And, you know, some of the things that I learned just from being in his retreat, and one of the things that was said was, it says, you know, Hippocrates proclaimed that everyone has a doctor in them. We just have to help it work. Just help that doctor inside of you work. Meaning part of this is on us. So a little bit in regards to our guest. So he's a lifestyle-focused and preventative medicine physician. So our guest is Elson Haas, and he encourages his patients to find that inner source of healing. And he looks to inspire us to protect our own health, protect and honor our bodies, and discover that our health is mostly a result of how we live and is much more in our hands than we realize. So he's the founder director of the Preventative Medical Center of Marin. Dr. Haas is an integrative family physician with more than 40 years of experience in patient care. And a pioneer in healthcare, he developed an integrative approach to healing that incorporates natural, Eastern, and Western medical approaches and what he calls new medicine. So he has written and produced health information and offered courses for adults and children, lectured as a health professor, and has authored 11 books on health, nutrition, and detoxification, including Staying Healthy with Nutrition, The Detox Diet, The False Fat Diet, Ultimate Immunity, and the classic Staying Healthy with the Seasons. His most recent book is Staying Healthy with New Medicine, integrating natural, Eastern, and Western approaches for optimal health. Elson, welcome to Answers for the Family.
Alan, thank you for having me on. I'm so glad to talk to you and your audience.
Well, I'm excited to have you on, and I want to let our listeners know that are just listening and didn't get a press release or something that shows a picture of Elson, because if you saw a picture, you would see a picture of health. So I won't go into anything in regards to, you can choose to tell people how old you are or anything else, but I know that you know, mentally and physically, you know, I was impressed with the fact that you don't just talk the talk, you walk the walk too. So
Thank you.
And
well,
it's
good.
noticeable.
And from Gabriella, I grew up in Michigan, so I know about the Flint and the wonderful nature of the Michiganders. And two, kindness is one of the things that I really teach in my practice and to patients. It's just like, I'm a big fan of Ellen DeGeneres in your area, that she ends her show with "Be kind to one another." And, I don't find that's common in the medical profession. And, one of my topics in New Medicine book is the doctor-patient relationship. And, kindness is not always there with, the office, with the office staff or the doctors or the hospitals or things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's really, to me, that's really important because the gentleness and the connection and reaching people is really part of the beginning process of healing, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Elson, share a little bit about what that picture is, because I know that, again, I have the benefit of having been in your seminar and heard you speak. Share your vision of what the hospital-patient relationship should be.
Well, the doctor-patient relationship, really, for any practitioner, is obviously you want to see people who have a similar belief system. If you're into natural healing and you go to a doctor who says, supplements are stupid, you're wasting your money, or the idea that detoxification, the doctors condemn it because they don't know what it even means or they have any experience in it. So one of the common things I see with patients is that, a doctor said this to me and it's still, it's hard to get it out of my brain, out of my system. So a shared belief system, respect. I do my best to run on time, so I'm not having people I don't even call it a waiting room in my office. I call it the reception area. Because I don't want people to have to wait a long time, even though a lot of people choose to come in. I have good magazines and my book's out, so people come in and like to hang out because I also have a wonderful staff who practices kindness. And I still practice. You mentioned I am 71 and I'm still practicing because I like it. The only reason I do is because I require and love that healthcare is fun and educational. So to me, helping people grow and change their lifestyle, because as you mentioned in your intro, it's like much of our health is up to us. We have one and only body we're given, and when we treat it kindly and we develop an improved attitude toward caring for the body that we have, the results are often great. People can change their health outcomes by looking at what I call the 5 keys to staying healthy, which I have a free course on my website as well to go through, good nutrition, exercise, sleep, stress management, and developing a healthy attitude. And that's an attitude toward your life, toward your body, and that's what I experienced back 40 some years ago when I did my first juice cleanse and started to feel great and dropped weight and my allergies cleared. I said, wow, this is how I want to feel. I got to start treating my body with love because it matters what I do. It matters what I put into my mouth. And so that was a change for me, a big metamorphosis that I think has helped my health, over these last 40 some years. If I had continued eating the American diet and living in my family's lifestyle that, from growing up in the 50s, I don't think I would be in this state of health. I'd be on medicines if I was still alive even, Mm-hmm. So I think it matters, and I see this even, I see that in teenagers, and I see it in 75-year-olds, that you make some changes in your health, you're going to get some better outcomes.
What inspired you to try the more alternative methods to helping your patients? Because I can imagine that, once you got inspired, it still takes something of a practice to then do it on all your patients. So what made you do that all of a sudden?
It wasn't all of a sudden. I mean, I was in med school from 68 to 72, and as I quote Bob Dylan, the times they were changing. People were, a little bit rebellious. I was kind of standing up a little bit against the patriarchal, drug-oriented approach to healthcare, and kind of the misidentified. It wasn't people. You were treating diseases, and I thought that treating people was a much better approach. And I started learning about when I saw that there was a lot out about I mean, not nearly as much as there is today, but, people who were doing more natural healing. And, I never heard about natural medicine in med school. I didn't hear about detoxification or juice cleansing or other, or acupuncture or herbs or things like that. And, now that's all come to pass. So I think it was more tuning into the changes that were happening. And, writing my first book, Staying Healthy with the Seasons, that came out in 81, was one of the early books that said, hey, there's more to healthcare than just, taking drugs. And, that's when I developed my more integrative practice, and realizing the most important aspect of that, besides being multidisciplinary and looking at people's whole lives, not just what's wrong with them, but it really comes down to a difference in a question, which is partly an attitude, which is when you don't feel well, a Western approach is to ask a question: what can I take to make this go away? Whether it's for a headache or a cold or whatever. And a more integrative question, a more healing question is: why is this present in my life? What's needed for me to heal? And that takes a little bit of listening to your body. It often takes resting, stopping, and nourishing yourself differently. But it merely takes listening to your deeper self. And, I personally believe that our mind-body is very much like a biocomputer, where if we ask the right questions, we, maybe get an answer that maybe will be helpful.
I love what you just said. I'm wondering, I'm just really curious about this. Do you ever have a patient that says, no way, I won't do it. I won't do an alternative method, even if you explain to them that in the end they will really be helped?
Well, it's more like a whole program, Gabrielle. It's okay. A lot of, most people come to me because they're aware, but even though, I'm one of the only, alternative-oriented doctors, I'll say, in the North Bay area, San Francisco area, that takes insurance and Medicare. So some people come to see me, and they're not really sure where they are yet. They don't know that I'm, maybe done some changes, or I'll talk to them about their health. But I really personally believe that you are your primary doctor. One of the courses I teach is, how to be your own best doctor, healing from the inside out, and it has to do with you really making the choice for yourself. I see people every day that say, I give prescriptions because that's what they want. I'm not sleeping well. I've tried melatonin. I've tried tryptophan. I'm still not sleeping well. Okay, let's try this. Let's see how it's worked. Everything, when I speak to audiences, especially to medical professionals, I say we need to know that everything we do in healthcare is an experiment/experience. What we're going to do has to be tested on us, each of us. Just because it's worked for other people doesn't mean it'll work for us. And that could be a new diet. That could be a prescription medicine. It can be a supplement. It could be any number of things. So we always have to pay attention, and that's why, to me, self-awareness is the most important aspect of watching your own healthcare.
Absolutely.
Whoops. Anyway, as you were saying that, and you mentioned in regards to the class, is it a webinar, and is it something that people can sign up for from anywhere? And if so, how can they do that? Because I'm ready to sign up now.
All right. Well, I have I have various things online. My website is my name, ElsonHaasMD.com, ELSON Haas HAAS MD.com, and I have a free course called 5 Keys to Staying Healthy, which helps you assess where you are, where are your weak areas, where are you in terms of your nutrition, your exercise, your sleep, etc. So that's one area. I also, since I've been kind of the detox doc for a number of years, plus I have loads of articles on, detox and, the purification process on that website, and also my clinic website. So I find, all right, so one of the things I talk about, talking around the country about elimination diets and detoxification processes, which doesn't mean fasting or water fasting. I mean, it can mean a lot of different things. And, my book out, The Detox Diet, was one of the earlier books about the topic. Now there are many different books and many products out about that. But I'm doing right now an online detox program, a 2-week detox called Winter Detox 2019. And I have, so people can still sign up and watch the first class. The second class is Wednesday. But everybody does 2 weeks, and I'm doing it on Zoom. So everybody does 2 weeks off of caffeine, alcohol, sugar, wheat, dairy. It's, basically an elimination diet. So you clean up everything and you say, okay, now how I feel. So, several people in the group they're off coffee and they had a headache for a day or two. They get through that, by, hydration, sometimes even, a little over-the-counter medicine for pain. But, so that's one thing that I do consistently, and I do a guided cleanse in the spring, which will probably be in early April this year, and then I do an autumn detox. So one of the most valuable things I've done, and to me, rewarding, is to help people make changes and really tune into what works for them, what's the best foods for them, what doesn't work for them. So when you do this type of elimination diet, you're not only supporting the detoxification of your body and eliminating toxins, giving your liver and your body a little vacation, but you also have the ability to look for food reactions and allergy, which as you bring them back in, you can see, okay, my body liked that or doesn't like it, and then you can find out what the best diet is for you.
Yeah,
so that's one area. Sorry, I have another line that's kind of ringing through.
Online, is the January 9th still open or totally not? You will do another winter detox, right?
I will do another one, but not probably for a couple months. The January 9th one, people can go on and start. They can sign up for it, from the website. And then they can watch over the next, 48 hours before the next class and then come online for the next one. I have had a few people sign up after we started, and that can work. So it will be the recording of the last week's show is on live, so people are on tape, so people can watch that and then start their program and continue longer, because many people will go on this Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific time, and then the following Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific time, and people can do that, and they can carry on longer. And I have a Facebook group for everybody in the class. We have emails, so people can be coached and guided toward that. So to me, that's a really valuable experience, and you don't necessarily have to be in my group to do that. You can do it out of, courses online. You can do it from different books. My Detox Diet book, guides people step by step through the whole process. So that's kind of syndrome that I've kind of named because of my speaking around the country, on the idea of detox and elimination diets. I call it the Stimulation Sedation syndrome. And it's based on the activity of people using stimulants and sedatives, substances, caffeine, alcohol, sugar, cannabis, and prescription and non-prescription drugs to manage their mood and energy. So many people, 90% or more that I, from my talks when I ask people to raise their hand, who's free from daily habits to what I call the snacks, SNACC, sugar, nicotine, alcohol, caffeine, and chemicals. Mm-hmm. So I'm covering a lot of stuff all quickly here. We can take it apart a little bit more. But so I find that when people are trying to manage their mood and energy, and particularly the quality of their sleep goes down, then they don't have energy the next day, and they need more caffeine and sugar, and the whole vicious cycle happens. So the program that I have, which is a course online, and it's built in with videos, and it's a 1 week, it can be longer too, called Regain Your Natural Energy. And it's basically a guided program for people to take a week or two off of their substances, come back to their better sleep and natural energy. Now, I'm doing a free class on February 23rd that will be posted on my website too, and if you sign up for my newsletter, then you'll get all that information sent to you. A free class called Healing Sleep. It'll be on February 23rd. I think that's at 5 or 5:30 as well, and that will be up on my website soon. Yeah. But that's in really engaging, because I think that people who don't sleep well don't typically feel well, and I think they're more prone to other kind of health issues, even cardiovascular issues. So quality sleep is, to me, a given. I mean, that's really needed for people to feel healthy and well. And so those are some of the things I got going.
Well, yeah, and I was going to agree with you, because I agree that it's a vicious cycle in which it doesn't matter where it starts. If it starts with the sleep or it starts with a chemical or something like that, but it seems to be this cycle that just continues to snowball and it doesn't get better. So yeah, I agree. And I was also thinking you can probably add television to that list too, but I'm not sure where a T fits into your wording. Your acronym.
But definitely, the sleep quality, if we talk about sleep, all the electromagnetics and, even what we have in our bedroom, like I took TV and all my electronics out of my bedroom a few years ago, got a better mattress, sleeping much better, and I don't have the interference. But yeah, some people are really sensitive to, TV, and other things. Like one of my things is, my sweetie asks me sometimes, how can you go to bed happy and you get up happy? How do you do that? I said, well, I'm in a state of denial and I don't watch the news.
Perfect.
Love it.
So it's just, there's always stuff going on. When if you're a regular newsie, there's always traumas, there's always stuff going on. Yes, when it hits home, when it's close to you, like, fires down there, fires up in Northern California, yeah, I mean, people are, it's very sad. And that's where, kindness and helping others in your neighborhood, the place to start in your own home, an even better place to start. And, really, caring about one another. And, but to me, it starts about caring about your body, caring about the earth. And, that's why, my work for kids incorporates me as Dr. Sun, because my name is Elson, so that came easy. Mm-hmm. And I'm a Leo, so that even helps it more. But, reaching kids and families about learning how to take care of yourself. We're not taught that. We're exposed to, media and sugar and, junk everywhere. And, one of the nutritional tips I give to families and kids is learn the difference between real food and treats. Treats are, sodas, candy, chips, anything sugar, baked goods, French fries, the number one vegetable in the country, and real food is, veggies and fruit and grains and beans and nuts and seeds and, proteins as you like, so, that should be 90% of our diet, and then occasional treat, because, everything's okay, but we tend to be habituated to things, and that's one of the things it helps to really look at and say, I'm going to just take a break. I mean, that's the message in my Detox Diet book is, you have a relationship with everything in your life. Mm-hmm. What is that? Is that a healthy relationship or is it not healthy? If you don't take a break, if you're in a bad personal relationship and you go on vacation for a little bit and you come back and you realize how much less stress and how not fighting with one another, it helps you feel better, and then you come back into it, or whether it's a job that you take a break from and you go back to and say, I don't want to be here anymore, So you want to try and create healthy relationships with everything, and that includes your substances, that includes your diet, that includes the people in your life, your work cohorts. I mean, when people have conflict with one another, it's really hard, In my new medicine book, one of my favorite areas that, I think people don't really know how to address, it's called, it's in the mind-body section, it's called The Art and Practice of Peacefully Not Getting Along. Learning how to fight with your loved ones, or even somebody at work, in a way that's, that honors you both. It's almost like a healthy doctor-patient relationship. Mm-hmm. It's a healthy relationship where you have respect, where you really listen, where you're really present with somebody, where you're not reactive. I mean, one of the things that I talk about in my book and also with my staff at Preparedness Medical Center of Marin is learn the difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is a defense. A response is, I really receive what you're saying, and I'm letting that percolate through my being, and now here's what I feel about that. You give yourself a little time, but if you say something immediately, you're usually kind of not really receiving it.
Well, first of all, my first thought is if we could make that mandatory that all politicians must read that section of the book before even running for office, that would be a start in the right direction. For everybody out there, a lot of the classes that Dr. Haas just spoke about, again, you can go to the website, which is Elson Haas MD. He also has Preventative Medical Center of Marin.com, and you can get information there. Now, for those of you that are driving and you can't write this down, we'll have all of this information on the Answers for the Family website. So we're going to take a break right now. That doesn't mean go grab a snack, okay? That means that you can go to the website and you can start looking up some of the positive things that you can get, but we will be right back. You're listening to Answers for the Family.
Founded over 30 years ago to meet the needs of families in crisis, Westshield has continually focused on resolving issues that negatively impact families and businesses. Our signature therapeutic transportation service helps to ensure that adolescents in crisis are safely transported to specialized schools, programs, and treatment centers with unsurpassed experience and success. We are supported by our full-service licensed investigation agency that has legally, professionally, and compassionately located hundreds of runaways and teens. We are experienced and qualified to help, offering solutions which may include referrals to our international network of top professionals in the fields of educational consulting, psychology, psychiatry, and investigations. Simply put, Westshield Adolescent Services and Westshield Investigations are the best solutions when your family is facing a personal crisis. Call 1-800-899-8585, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's 1-800-899-8585, or visit our website at westshield.com. Thank you.
And we're back. You're listening to Answers for the Family, and with me is our ambassador to kindness, Gabriella Von Ray, and our guest is Dr. Elson Haas. Now, Elson, I mentioned earlier that I had attended the retreat, and I learned one of the things that was your motto, which I really liked, and you said, lifestyle first, natural therapies next, drugs and Western medical intervention last. So I agree, but how did you come to this order, and why can't so many other westernized doctors see this?
Well, yeah, that's a complex question in some ways and very simple in other ways. They don't really practice lifestyle medicine, and they haven't watched over decades about, just people shifting their diet or trying natural therapies and see that they work, one of the great advantages of a more integrative approach that deals with lifestyle and natural remedies. Every one of my patients, all of them, are on particular diets, on natural supplements, and some medicines. So we're trying to find that balance there. But I think one of the areas that integrative medicine really is helpful is, when people start having high blood pressure or increased stresses or poor sleep, or they have high cholesterol, or they have pre-diabetes or early diabetes. When you start to work on lifestyle, those things reverse really well, just like dementia may be with the new program from Dr. Dale Bredesen. That is a whole lifestyle-focused plan to improve elders' memories, people who are starting to have dementia. It works also for reversing the beginnings of high blood pressure and high cholesterol and high blood sugar and all those things, and even arthritis and other challenges like that. And it's really very helpful. And to me, we talked about at the beginning. Self-care is the best care. Prevention has to do with how you live your life, and that your lifestyle in the last 40 years over and above how I grew up eating and living. And I think that's really helped me, stay active, do regular exercise, at 71, not be on any regular medication, take some supplements, eat well, eat lots of veggies. We could have a whole discussion about, nutrition and, family health as well. That's a really important aspect because that's when we have control over. In the whole area. So, it's starting to come more forward in that there's a lot more doctors who are open to, working nutritionally with people When we realized there's a whole new field called epigenetics, and a friend of mine, Ken Pelletier, just has a new book out, great guest for you, talking about the effect. Epigenetics has to do with how your lifestyle affects whether genes that you have potential for disease in your family and your genetics expresses itself. So if you're prone, if there's diabetes in your family and you're prone to that, if there's cardiovascular issues, if there's cancer, many lifestyle factors protect us from having those things actually occur. And the two most important ones are your diet and your stress level. Other ones are your fitness activity, your exposure to toxins, and your social, interaction with people. So, those to me, those are important aspects, related to the question you asked. And more, and hopefully we're changing all that. And doctors, but typically if you have beginning high blood pressure or blood sugar, things like that, you go to a doctor, you're going to get prescribed the medicine, because that's what they'll focus on, and likely you're going to be told you probably need to be on this for life. There's not really another treatment for it, and it's just different experience. But if you go to part of my new medicine book is, if you go to a natural medicine person or you go to an Eastern medicine person, they're going to have other approaches. They're going to have other ways to balance your body, to detox your body, to support your body energetically. And it starts with, I have a couple charts in my new medicine book. One is called the Health Illness Continuum, and it looks at that very idea that if you start to if you're in a state of health and you start to have a few symptoms and then you start to have some more degenerative or chronic disease, you're moving up the continuum up kind of toward chronic disease and death. But you can also work with your lifestyle and improved health conditions. You can move up the health side of the continuum, which you start to have better energy and vitality and creativity and your desire to be out in the world and be kind and loving to other people and do good things on the planet. So that's to me what I propose. The other concept is really the causes of disease, and I have a whole chart and chapter on understanding that. And many doctors will think that infections, different germs are the primary cause, but really I think it's the condition of your body, the state of your body. In the center of my chart on the causes of disease, I have the cell, the cell and the tissues, and there's two ways that the cells get out of balance. One is deficiency of all the nutrients we need from a healthy diet and supplement program, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and the phytonutrients, which are carotenoids and bioflavonoids that come from all, the foods that give them their taste and aroma and color. So that's one side, is if we support the body with all the nutrients we need, then all the cells function, do all the thousands of functions they do all day long. The other side of the imbalance is toxicity, chemicals and metals that get into our air, food, and water that interfere with enzymes and cell function. So if we just across the nation, across the world, had people make sure they're getting well nourished and start to eliminate the toxins in their life, the body will begin to heal, and it's very beautiful to watch that.
Wow. I was still taking in everything you said, and my brain has to switch to a new question all of a sudden. But that's really, I hear a lot. This is not a question, but what I hear you say a lot, which I really, really like, Dr. Haas, is self-care, which to me is kindness to self. We really aren't taught that. So kudos to you for being out there to do that. My next question is, could you share with us and the listeners a little bit of the Eastern methods that you might sometimes suggest to patients?
Yes, I think, that was really the beginning in the 70s as I was out in practice as a physician. I realized, there's more to this. I started studying, I did my juice cleanse, and I started studying about healthy nutrition, eating close to nature, which is what I put out in my book, and also introducing the 5 elements and the seasons and the whole idea that we have to stay attuned to nature and eat primarily from nature, our diet, and pay attention to the foods that are provided, seasonally. So, we tend to, in the warmer months, the summer months, we have juicy fruits, melons, etc., to keep the body cool. In the colder months, where we are now, we need more fuel. Like in my detox group right now, it's not just about water fasting or even juice cleansing. It's about, good alkaline vegetable soups, warming foods, being, indoors, doing more stretching and paying attention to that kind of inner life. And, we're in California, many of us, but you have people all over, you said. So depending on your climate, you need to develop some indoor exercises or go to a gym, do classes, do some yoga, stretch your body, but rest more also. It's an important time for that. So Eastern medicine is a type of natural medicine that has a philosophy of paying attention to the cycles and balancing the elements. Do we get too hot and dry? Do we get kind of cold and wet? So a Chinese medicine practitioner would evaluate the pulses, look at your tongue, look under your eyes, and see what's in balance and out of balance here. Just reviewing my newest book I'm working on now, called New Medicine Solutions. Reading the opening part, and it's really important that we pay attention to the subtlety. And Eastern medicine has the potential to really help balance the body. It's not natural medicine and herbal and acupuncture. They're not as strong as drug therapy. I mean, if you really can't sleep, you take out a knockout, sleeping pill like Ambien, it's going to put most people out. But, how they feel the next day is another question. So, ideally we want to sleep more naturally. But acupuncture and other natural medicines can help with pain conditions. Detoxification can help greatly with pain conditions, any kind of itis. And it really helps balance the body. It can help with sleep, can help with energy. So there's a lot of conditions that will help support, but it takes a little bit of time. It probably takes a few treatments to do that. And, in the chapter 1 of New Medicine book, it looks at the strengths and weaknesses of these 3 different healing systems, which now have been around. I mean, Western medicine is the newest one. And that's because we got into technology and industrial ages, and with that came also drug therapy and all the chemistry, all the chemicals that we have in our culture, which is a concern for people's health. From the glyphosates to metals and mercury and all the chemicals. Thousands and thousands of chemicals have been developed that people use. And I was just explaining to somebody that, when you have a fire that burns a lot of homes, you can't imagine how many chemicals are put into the atmosphere. Everybody, all the things they have in their garage, any synthetic fibers, burn carpets, burn upholstery. It's just a lot. And we had up here recently, I'm still seeing people who say, I'm still coughing since the bad fires. We had probably the worst air. I mean, they said worst air ever in the world, up here for a period of a few weeks. So people were pretty much indoors and wearing masks outdoors, So, but I think really paying attention and being prepared is another thing that I write about. I have an article on my website called Survival Preparedness, and having stuff in your car, having stuff at work. We're shifting topics a little bit, but this is a show for families and how to keep your health together. So, do you have things stored? If you're ever stuck at home, or if you're stuck at work, you have some things in your car you carry around. Snacks, a little water. Things need to be rotated every so often.
Elson, I was going to say that's a great point that hasn't been touched on, and I want to say that one of my friends that lives in Malibu, that when we went out to help them for the fires here, they had about 50 cases of water in their garage, and so we were able to take that down to so many of their friends and other people. We just took it down, like there was one shopping center where there was a Starbucks that had a generator, so it was the only place that had electricity. But we literally went down there and took these again, we had 50 cases of water that But again, that was somebody who was prepared. In their home, they kept this because they knew where they lived and what could happen. So I think that's a great point.
And most of the time, we never need this stuff. I mean, I'm traveling, like in my car, I have, a little extra water, food, I have clothes, I have blanket. I have, if I had to go to the airport from my car instead of coming home, I could do that. I have a son who's working in Nepal. I never know, I might have to travel somewhere. And so most of the time you never need it. And then you just have to kind of keep refreshing things and use them up. But yeah, even at your home, you want, a gallon of, say even for a week, you want a gallon of water per person per day, is one suggestion.
All right.
And then some good, things that you can snore and snack on, and things because you might not have electricity or a stove or anything. Elson, smart people have even a little, propane stove, and they have things that they can cook and heat things up.
All right. Well, I'm going to jump in here real quick because we've only got about 3 minutes, and we have a couple of listener questions that came in. And again, I want to thank them for sending these in. So this one is directed to you. It says, we are bombarded by supplements to the magnitude I am not sure what to take any longer. I've been reading about a few things I wanted to ask about. One is called NAD. I won't even try to do it anyway. It says, I'm 65 years old, and it's been recommended to me as a deterrent to dementia and Alzheimer's, which has plagued our family in the past. Another is C60. It says this is said to have effects on unsaturated fat and removes superoxide. So it says, thank you so much for for all that you're doing. I look forward to getting the book, and this is from Barbara in Colorado.
Okay. No, thank you. So the first one, NAD, is a niacin, a vitamin B3 related coenzyme, and it may help energy function. I'm not sure of any studies on reversing dementia, but it is part of the program. Anybody with dementia, I would really refer you to Reversing Alzheimer's book by Dr. Dale Bredesen, Bredzen, I believe, and the other supplement I didn't know if I heard you, C60?
It says C60, and then I think this says Buckminster Fullerence, and then it says, like in parentheses, Buckyballs. But I don't
know. I don't know that one. Sorry.
Yeah.
I you were going to say CoQ10.
Yeah.
But there's another one that is used for helping with the brain is acetyl L-carnitine. Which is another one that may help in the brain. And I think, also just the healthy lifestyle and looking at your 5 keys to staying healthy, I think has the biggest potential for dementia. For people who are having memory issues in later years, there's other things, including B vitamins. Ginkgo biloba is an herb. There's another herb called huperazine A, which is related to a mushroom that may help improve memory. So I have several memory formulas, but it's true. I mean, I can't tell you how many different supplement companies there are now. I mean, I go to the Natural Food Show in Anaheim, which is probably the largest show in the world now. You can't believe how many new products and how many supplement companies are there. There's probably thousands of supplement companies now, and many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of products available. When I first started doing more natural nutritional medicine, you couldn't get. The health food stores had bee pollen, nutritional yeast, wheat germ oil, kelp tablets. There wasn't anything like there is today, and it's really changed a lot. So it just kind of, the more you can learn about it, my Staying Healthy with Nutrition book goes through all the supplements in detail and what they're good for and when to use them. But when you read about supplements, they all sound pretty good. Well, I want some of that. I want some of that. So people end up taking it. I see often in my practice, I see elders come in and I say, well, bring in your second visit. I want you to bring in all the things you take. And they have like 2 shopping bags full of stuff, I said, well, then I say, well, which ones feel most important to you? And then they have to think about it. And I say, well, here's go home and look at them all on the table, and you have to go off to an island for 6 months. Which ones you want to take with you? You get 10.
Well, let me.
So those are some simple exercises. There's also people coming out of a detox program. It's like, what are your key foods? What foods feel good? Pick 7 foods that you think would be your primary foods that part of your heritage, are part of what you like, part of what feel good in your body. Let's start there with your new eating plan and then build from that.
All right. Well, let me interject real quick. Okay, so for everybody out there, that's the beauty of the book, because you could go to a health food store and there would be 10,000 different things. So now you have a doctor, you know his website, you know the book. You can get the book that's going to break it down for you. You can also go to the website and be able to gather that information. It's all been narrowed down for you. That's one of the biggest takeaways that you're going to get from this. Elson, thank you so much for coming on. As everybody can see, there's so much more information here. Elson, I'd love to have you back. And if you get down to Anaheim, let me know. I live in Huntington Beach. It's not far from there. I'd love to get together again.
Thank you, Alan and Gabriella. Thank you. And stay healthy, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
We will. Thank you.
All right. So for everybody out there, be sure to put us on your calendar. Tune in next Monday when we will be joined by Monk Yoon Roh to discuss his new book, Mad Monk Manifesto. It's a prescription for evolution, revolution, and global awakening. So be with us. Gabriella, again, thank you so much for being here. And again, for everybody out there, you can find Gabriella by going to the Dare to Be Kind movement on Facebook, on the website, on Indiegogo, all kinds of places. And she's out there doing the heavy lifting for us by spreading the word of kindness and gratitude.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Be good human beings. Be with us again next week on Answers for the Family.
You're listening to Answers for the Family with Alan Cardoza, right here on LA Talk Radio.